Welcome back to Next Step Fantasy Football Podcast. We're here to help you take the next step in your fantasy journey. My name is Jake. I am joined by my friend Jordan. Jordan, say hello to the people.
Hello, people. Week one. Here it is.
Week one. We're excited. You know, we're a fantasy football podcast. We want to record these things for you guys because it's fun. And Jordan, everything that could go wrong tonight has.
It's been a week.
We don't have Adam. He can't seem to connect. We were live on YouTube. That was a disaster. We're going to have to take that video down. And now we're just recording it like we used to. Just the old-fashioned...
the good old days.
On the pod episodes.
Yep.
So why don't we just get into it? Let's skip 1 or 0. We're going to skip 1 or 0 because it's just you and me. But we can go ahead and get into the news. Adam, let's hear your voice.
Thank you so much, Adam, for the introduction as always, even though you're not here. A bunch of news and a bunch of super relevant news as we get right on the cusp of week one. We're recording on Wednesday, September 6th. So just ahead of the opener, which is Chiefs and Lions. Things out of Chiefs camp, not great. Things out of Chiefs practice in preparation for week one. Travis Kelce hyperextended his knee in practice. His status is uncertain. He's officially listed as questionable. Seems like all ligaments and everything like that are all intact. So it's just a hyperextension. So it's pain management. But not what you like to see ahead of week one out of someone who has literally missed pretty much no games ever. He's just durable. I think he's missed a couple. But we're talking about someone in his 30s who's just not missed much football. So that's a first round pick that's probably not playing week one. And if he is, going to be limited. Speaking of first round picks not playing week one, Cooper Kupp.
He's out.
Officially ruled out. He has a hamstring injury. He was seeing a specialist in Minnesota. No timetable for return. The team, quote unquote, isn't ruling out IR for him.
Okay.
So hate to see that.
To see that.
Yeah, I hate to see it even though I was right.
Yes. Well, you weren't right. It's just that this happens, you know?
It definitely
Injuries
happens. Yeah. Especially for people who I knew were injured going into drafts. And Jake said, doesn't matter.
This is fun. Okay.
All right. Other top picks who are not playing week one. Jonathan Taylor. No trade happened. So when they got to 53-man roster cuts, Jonathan Taylor's on the Colts, and he was then put on the pup. So for sure missing 4 games. Deion Jackson starting week one for the Colts. Still a situation to keep an eye on. Still stinks because you probably took him in the second round of your draft, right?
It's fantasy season, so everything that can go wrong will.
Yep. Just like our live stream on YouTube, you know?
Oh, my God.
All right, here's some other ones that are worth calling out. Joe Burrow expected to play week one. So that status was in doubt. He is, quote unquote, good to go. Ready to go against Cleveland.
Love that.
So love that. Obviously, he's playable. You want to play him in every format. Boost Jamar Chase, boost T. Higgins, boost the whole offense. George Kittle could miss week one with a groin injury, but he did return to practice today. This is Wednesday. So something to keep an eye on for George Kittle. Jerry Jeudy nursing a hamstring injury, and earlier this week he was trending towards missing week one. He was back at practice today, but limited. They don't think he will play. So that now, if you're keeping track at home, is 2 wide receivers on IR and Jerry Jeudy, who might miss week one for the Denver Broncos. So yikes! Strong start to their season.
Yikes.
Jackson Smith-Njigba, JSN, practices after wrist injury. Is set to play week one, which is crazy. He had wrist surgery 3 weeks ago. That is insane. Colt McCoy was cut by the Cardinals. So they are just full-on tank city there in Arizona.
It's the Joshua Dobbs train.
Yep. So they traded for Josh Dobbs. Jonathan Gannon, the head coach there, says he's not willing to give away week one plans at starting quarterback, but the rumors say it's Josh Dobbs. So
gotcha.
That's just a mess.
If
they win one game, I will be shocked.
I give me 3.
Ooh, okay.
Give me 3 wins.
Care to book that?
Sure, why not? I'll book the Cardinals for 3 wins.
What a
It's not a
terrible
good.
book
It's
it.
not a. It's not a good one.
What a terrible book it. But I'm putting it on the list. I'm putting it on the list.
We'll get something down there.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get something on the list there. Do you have anything else, Jordan?
Yeah, I do have a little bit, but let me get this on the book it.
Also, I don't know if you saw my message. Jordan is going to be drafting in the middle of us recording. And that did start 30 seconds ago. So make sure you're aware of that, Jordan.
Love that. The sound is deafening for it.
Oh, got it. So you can turn that off. It's right in the middle over by where you put the player.
Maybe I want it, to just, give me a little, punch in the face that it's time. All right. A couple of other smaller pieces of news. Jeff Wilson was placed on IR for the Dolphins. So that's a big deal, but that backfield is hard to figure out. So I think we're starting to figure it out.
Raheem Mostert is actually one of the guys we're going to talk about today.
Great.
I had a few extra guys we were going to talk about just to kind of cover in case we had issues, and it turns out we had issues, so I'm glad I did.
Glad you did. Perfect. Last couple of things that I wanted to talk about. Breece Hall is not practicing this week, but he will play week 1. So, so that is good to see him back. And then a couple of trade rumors are already trickling up.
Swirling.
Yeah, Chris Godwin and Mike Evans are rumored to be a potential trade block, potentially traded there. So Mike Evans wants a new contract, and so they're kind of going back and forth there. And then rumors that Devontae Adams also on the trade block. So I saw something that said he would be
cool with coming back to Green Bay, and I was like,
yeah, we'll take him. Come on back. Last thing that just happened this morning or earlier today, Nick Bosa and the 49ers agreed to the highest defensive contract in league history. So $170 million over 5 years. So good for him. Get the bag. He's an awesome player.
Get your money.
Yep.
Go ahead.
That's it. That's the news.
All right. Perfect. Quick things I wanted to say. Typically, we're live on YouTube, youtube.com/Next Step Fantasy Football Podcast. We're not right now because everything went wrong, but usually that works just fine. And you can check that out. We have a whole bunch of videos on there. So we also have a Facebook page at the Next Step Fantasy Football Podcast where you would find out what's going on with us and everything. We're one person away from 400. So somebody be that person for us.
Somebody be Pearson 400.
I did want to ask quickly, Jordan. Jordan, are you recording the video for this as well?
Sure am.
Okay, so we will be able to. I figured it out. This is good. This video and the audio, it'll all be one thing. I'm assuming you can send over to me, Jordan. Will go up on our Facebook page, on our YouTube channel on Friday. So you'll be able to watch this if that's what you wanted to do. So that's great. For anyone familiar with how we did last year during the season, we typically picked one or two guys we liked on Sunday games, and we also picked one guy on Monday and on Thursday night games. We're going to kind of change it up a little. We're still going to have our Thursday and Monday night guys, but otherwise we're going to give you guys some start-sit people. Guys that we think you should start, and guys we think you might want to consider someone else for. The thing here is, Devontae Adams, for example. Jordan, you're going to start him no matter what the matchup is, right?
Correct.
So we're going to try to stay away from guys like that, right? So why don't we start out, and also it's worth mentioning these episodes probably going to be shorter than the ones during the offseason. Because we're quick and to the point. You got to make your fantasy decisions, and we don't want you to waste a whole hour trying to find out who you want to do.
Yep.
So why don't we start with the Thursday night person? And Jordan, what is the clever name we thought of for our Thursday night person?
Last year, listener suggestion as the Thursday Top Gun.
Love it.
We have, you got to get the alliteration in there. So that is who we have on Thursday. And this is coming to you from Adam. So I will channel my inner coach here, and I will share our Thursday Top Gun. And that would be the Chiefs versus the Lions. So Lions going to Arrowhead. And we are picking Jared Goff.
Hey, I had one of my one or zero things had to do with Jared Goff today, and my question was, is he good? Because there's this idea that he's the Rams gave up on him and sent him over. Is he a top 12 quarterback in the NFL? Maybe not fantasy. I'm just referring you could win a Super Bowl with him.
I mean,
he's been to one.
He's been to one.
And you have a good enough team around him, I think he is a better version of Joe Flacco. I think you could win a Super Bowl with Jared Goff.
You could win a Super Bowl with Jared Goff, huh?
Yeah. You're not committed to saying it. Stop drafting and pay attention.
I don't know how it works. I just accidentally auto-drafted. I'm sorry. We got Josh Allen. Terrible pick. Okay, sorry. Could you win a Super Bowl?
Jesus. This is not our best episode, guys. I'm going to be honest.
Could you win a Super Bowl with Jared Goff?
Yes.
Yes, you can. Can he win it with the Lions? No, he cannot.
How's that? Well, tell the people why we're picking him for Thursday night's game.
Yes. Unlike my take about Super Bowls for Jared Goff, he is great in a Week 1 fantasy matchup against the Chiefs, who will be without Chris Jones, as he's in a contract holdout, which means they can get very little pressure. And if they get no pressure, Jared Goff has a field day. He was all of this hype about him last year from a fantasy quarterback was he was putting up big numbers, and it was almost always because he was not under pressure. He's just a pocket passer. He's slow. He can't move around. So he has weapons. I think they're going to get more creative with Jahmyr Gibbs. I think it's going to be a more exciting offense. It was exciting last year, but I think it will continue that trend. And without Chris Jones, I think it'll just give him a little bit more time, which makes me think this will be a shootout potential game. So I like a lot of players on this Thursday night game.
Yeah, so, I think that we could see 28 points, and whoever the Lions hit 28 and lose, right? So I think a three touchdown game out of Jared Goff is definitely within the realm of possibility, and he's outside our top 12 right now. So he's a quarterback 2, and I think this week he could give quarterback 1 numbers.
I agree. It's hard to pin down exactly how teams are going to be, in Week 1. But the Lions have a great offensive line without a good pass rush. Then the Chiefs are going to put at least 30 up.
Yeah.
So I do think that this offense will need to do something, and that's what I like about Jared Goff.
Yeah, I think so. And that's why we need an audio for Top Gun or something like that.
All right. Hey.
We have something to think about.
Okay.
So Jordan, you have some people that you want to start, and said I have some people. I think we'll just kind of go back and forth here, and then we'll reveal our Monday Night Miracle player, and then we'll call it a game. We'll call it a show. Probably shoot for around 30 minutes. Does that look good for you?
I love it. All
right, I'm going to come at you with a guy I just talked about, and that is Raheem Mostert. Start Raheem Mostert. He's most likely outside the top 20 of most rankings. He's definitely outside our top 20. But I have some stats for you. So he is their only running back right now. So it looks like A-Chain probably won't play. Jeff Wilson's out, meaning this man is going to get all 3 downs, which is, that's what you want out of a running back. There's very few of them that, were allowing that. They're going up against a Chargers defense that last year gave up the 7th most fantasy points to running backs. So obviously there is change over the offseason, but last year they gave up points. I think you're going to get, a touchdown is definitely easy. Is definitely something you could see out of him this week. Mainly just because they're not going to give the ball to anyone else. If they're running the ball, it's going to be Raheem Mostert. And if they're throwing it to a running back, it's going to be Raheem Mostert. And I think he's a pretty good flex play this week. And definitely a guy that could outperform what you are expecting from him.
Yeah, I agree. A-Chain is the only other one, that's there. I
think he ends up taking the backfield eventually.
I agree. I think, especially with Jeff Wilson, on IR, but you're right. Week 1, it's Mostert.
So start Raheem Mostert.
All right. Let me hit you with a couple of wide receivers to start.
Okay.
First one, Courtland Sutton versus the Raiders.
Oh, I wish Adam was here. Adam was here.
And I literally, in my notes, I said, I'm ready to get hurt again. That's what I said.
Oh, God.
2 receivers already on IR. Judy's hobbled with an injury, probably won't play. If we can even see mild improvement out of Denver's offense. I am not someone who's saying it's Sean Payton fixes it all and he's back to, old Russell Wilson. Yeah. But if it can just be a mild improvement, I like Courtland Sutton week 1. I don't like the Raiders at all. I think that they don't have a good defense other than Max Crosby. I think that the Broncos are trying to prove a point. Sean Payton's trying to prove a point. Russell Wilson's trying to prove a point.
Yeah.
And Cortland Sutton is the only one there who is kind of in that first tier. So I think he finishes as wide receiver 2 numbers this week. And that's why I think that he is a good start in week 1.
I'm not ready to be hurt again. I think that, he's pretty much obviously he's their best receiver going into this week. I've always been a Cortland Sutton guy. If most people who would, pick a receiver, they'd pick Jerry Jeudy. I've always said Cortland Sutton's ADP makes more sense to me than Jerry Jeudy's, right? So, you can get Sutton 3 rounds later after you can get Jeudy. So most likely anyone who has him on their team, he's their wide receiver 4, right? 4 or 5, somewhere
Probably,
in there.
Yep.
So I think Sutton's a really good pick for this week. Maybe he's on the waiver wire somehow, especially if you have Cooper Kupp out, right? And you need to plug someone in. I think he's also a really good pick for daily fantasy. A guy you can get cheaper and has touchdown upside. So I'm staying if it's a flex situation where either Sutton or Mostert, who would you go?
Ooh, probably Mostert.
I would go Mostert as well.
I agree.
But it's pretty close. Let's go ahead and go to a sit player. For me, it's Hollywood Brown. I think that's pretty
He's
easy.
on my list too. Yeah.
Perfect. I written down here, I have who knows who his quarterback is this week. It's Josh Dobbs. They just announced that today. And Vegas has this team Vegas only has this team scoring 15 points this week. The total for this game is the lowest in the NFL. We've seen Josh Dobbs. We've seen what he is. We've seen that he's okay. Here's the thing. Hollywood Brown always has a shot to go for 80 yards and a touchdown.
On one reception.
Yeah. I want nothing to do with this, though, because more likely than not, it's not going to happen. Plus, they're going up against a Washington Commanders defense that was sneaky good last year. They finished just outside the top 10, and that was without Chase Young. And I think that I just don't want anything to do with this offense, even slightly.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just such a
James
bad offense.
Conner. Is it James Conner the only one I would even consider playing ever on this team?
He's
literally ever.
He's a flex play. I don't want any receivers on this roster at all.
No.
Maybe next year, but as of right now, no, thank you.
Well, next year with Caleb Williams, I'd love to have.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. But yeah, next year maybe. But for right now, going into week 1, there's no way you can be happy. I'd rather have Cortland Sutton. I start Cortland Sutton over him. I don't want anything to do with this offense this week.
Okay. Well, there's a lot of daylight between Hollywood Brown and Cortland Sutton in
there
the
isn't for me.
spectrum.
Not this week.
What?
Absolutely not. Why on earth would week 1 would I want to start a receiver that has a quarterback that got there a week and a half ago?
No, you were saying Cortland Sutton and Hollywood Brown are close.
Yeah. Well, no. Okay. Well, if that was the case, I misspoke. For me, though, it's not close.
That's what I was saying.
At all.
Sorry. We're on the same
Sutton.
page. Okay. Yeah. 100% agreed. Here's someone that you should also not start. So here's a sit for you this week. Matt Stafford at Seattle.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. That's easy.
a mega sit.
Mega
when
sit.
I wrote this, it was up in the air status around Cooper Kupp. Now he's officially not playing. So I don't love anyone on this team that's catching balls. With Tyler Higbee, maybe is the number one. Van Jefferson. I mean, come on. That's
Van Jefferson could have a sneaky flex possibility, I would say.
Maybe, but Seattle's defense is good, and
yeah, that's true. That's true.
Stafford's coming off a weird elbow thing. If supposedly he's good to go, I don't know. It's just I don't like it. It's bad juju there. Bad vibes.
Oh, I forgot about Juju Smith stardom flex play.
Oh, interesting. So hey. Yeah, so that's that. But I will, if I could do 2 in a row, I'll do the flip side of that, which is a start. And I think you can start DK this week against.
Well, here's the thing, Jordan. I want to say that I think that's a cop-out.
Because you think everyone's starting DK?
DK is a top 10 receiver every time you rank him.
All right. Well, what about Tyler Lockett? I just like the Seattle receivers against.
Yes, I like the Seattle receivers against
Yeah.
them as well. I will say Tyler Lockett is one of those guys that you get later. I think he's a start. He's a wide receiver 2 every week.
I love Tyler Lockett.
Right. I'm never not starting Tyler Lockett, and I'm never not starting DK. Right. Which I guess I'll say, my next guy was start Chris Godwin. And I don't know if that's kind of a cop out a little too, because I feel like most people are probably starting Chris Godwin if you have him. I will say in this situation, though, you have Baker Mayfield, so it makes you a little bit more nervous, right?
Yeah.
Going up against the Vikings defense that led up the second most points to opposing wide receivers last year. A little fun fact for you. They're going to have to throw in order to win this game. That's my thought. Especially in a full point PPR, I'd rather have Godwin than Evans.
Rather have Godwin than Evans?
Yes. In a full point PPR, yes. I think Godwin ends up with more catches. So if you have a full point PPR, even a half point PPR, consider it. I think Mike Evans is the better receiver, in general.
Mm-hmm.
He has more touchdown upside than Godwin does. But if Baker can just dink and dunk his way all the way down there to Chris Godwin, love it. Good for fantasy.
Yeah,
also, go ahead.
I disagree. I want no part of the Bucks with Baker.
But you got to remember, though, I mean, when you're drafting these guys, right, you're drafting them in the mid-rounds. I'm sorry, you drafted Mike Evans in the 5th round. You're going to play him.
Yeah, that's true. I guess if you have him
now.
If you have him.
Here's my thought. You've drafted the team that you've drafted. It's time to don't get cute. You play the guys that you think were going to be good. If you took Chris Godwin in the 7th round, you thought to yourself, I'm not afraid of Baker, or I don't think it's going to be as bad as
they say.
Don't get cute. Start them. I think a lot of these times you hear these start-sit questions. Should I start this guy or this guy? You start the better player. Don't worry about matchups. You just start you start your guys, right? And I think that that's just kind of what you have to do in this situation. Also,
all right.
I will say that we at the Next Step Fantasy Football Podcast, we have to cheer for Baker Mayfield. You know that, right?
Why?
Because of Baker Mayfield. Okay, I'll give you a 1 or 0 quick.
Yeah.
You ready? A little mid 1 or 0, guys. So Aaron Rodgers just ended his 13-year partnership with Allstate. The discount, double check, all of that. And my 1 or 0 to you guys.
State Farm.
Thank you. Thanks. Excuse
me. How dare you?
I know, blasphemy.
Allstate is, are you in good hands?
You even opened the book. What I was saying is that my 1 or 0 was 1 or 0. Aaron Rodgers did the best insurance commercials, and I was gonna say 0 because when Baker Mayfield was good, his commercials were bomb.
The at home with Baker Mayfield. Yeah, those are funny.
Those are the best. So Baker's better in Tampa. You're gonna get those commercials back.
And that's why we're rooting for Baker?
It's the only reason I'm rooting for Baker.
All right,
otherwise, I don't care.
I was going to say, that is a reason to root for Baker. Another reason is that loyal listener of the pod, Don, huge Bucks fan, so that's why we also root for Baker.
That doesn't affect me.
Okay.
Come on,
sorry, Don. All right. All right. I got another sit for you.
All right.
DeAndre Swift versus New England.
Oh, I like that one.
Yeah. And my take on this is, until we know more about the Eagles' backfield, Swift could be getting competition from Kenneth Gainwell and Rashad Penny. They kind of listed them all on the depth chart as
they said
running back co-starters. So, I think New England always kind of has a top-tier defense under Bill Belichick. They're always really good in week 1 under Belichick and off a bye, right? Those really good coaches always have good week 1s and good off buys. So I'd say sit him this week. He could end up being the primary back, which is great news for you if you have him on your team. But I just want to know more about what that backfield even is and what it looks like before I'm really committed to starting him. So if you have someone else that we just mentioned, like in the start category or something like that, I'd look to them a little bit more. But yeah, the co-starter thing kind of was weird. Plus a good defense. I need a week.
There's a lot of reports coming out that like Kenneth Gainswell is going to have a real role here.
Yeah.
And like, that's not what you wanted. Like, that backfield's been a fantasy roller coaster, right? Like, first Penny goes there and you're like, he's going to be the guy. And they trade for Swift and you're like, all right, he's going to be the guy. And then they're like, Gaineswell, he might be the guy. He's the guy. So I don't know. I'm with you, though, where I just kind of want to wait 1 week to find out. If you have to, I think Swift is the guy to start out of all those guys in the backfield. Let me ask you a question. Mostert or Swift?
Mostert. He's my start.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Mostert's the start there. I think Mostert's probably the one we're most excited for. So we're really hoping he hits because then it looks really good for us.
Yeah. I love that. I agree.
Did you have any more?
No, those were
all right.
Those were mine.
In fairness, everyone watching and listening, we were expecting another person here who was going to help us out with some of those. So,
but I will tell you who his sit was because it's worth talking about.
Who was the sit?
Adam's sit was Javonte Williams.
Oh, that's right. And I don't think it was because he believes in Samaje. I think it was mainly just because we want to see how he responds after his knee injury, right?
Yeah.
We want to see what that looks like. What's that split look like? Is it how Jordan and I have been talking where we think Samaje is going to have a really good role in this offense, or is it more just give it to Javonte? So Javante's ADP was in the 8th round, so that's super interesting. Like, would in that situation he's probably a flex on your roster right now.
Yeah.
Are you starting him or Mostert, Jordan?
Mostert.
I'm still going Mostert too. I just love him this week. I love him this week. Guys, start Raheem Mostert. He's our start of the week.
I agree. Yeah.
We should have a start of the week.
Start of the week. You got to get the graphics department's going to have to get on that.
Oh, jeez. Yes, our graphics department has really stepped up. If you want to see what we're talking about, go on our Facebook page at the Next Fantasy Football Podcast. Speaking of our graphics department, would you like to talk about the Monday Night Miracle?
I would love to. Yeah.
What is a Monday Night Miracle, Jordan?
Yeah, so similar to the Thursday Top Gun, it's the player that we like in the Monday night game that you might not be starting. So Monday night this week is the Jets versus the Bills. We're assuming if you have like Josh Allen or Stephon Diggs, like you're starting them, right? Like this is not what we're looking at. So we're looking at kind of that miracle, that Hail Mary, like, hey, I need to get some points on the Monday. Who am I gonna play?
And this week it's a little cheating because I think this is a guy that typically you would be starting every week.
But it's interesting.
I'll let you tell me.
So our Monday Night Miracle this week is Dalvin Cook. All right. And the reason for this is last year when the Jets and the Bills played, the most points that either one of those teams scored was 20 points. It was like 20-12 and then like 20-17, right? Like back and forth. So not a lot of offense that was happening between those two teams. I anticipate a similar defensive kind of slugfest on Monday. So the reason that Dalvin Cook's our Monday Night Miracle is Breece Hall coming off the injury. He didn't practice this week.
He is going to play.
Be limited. He's going to play, but he'll probably be limited. So I don't think he's on a snap count or anything like that officially, but you just got to believe that without practice and coming off that injury, it'll be a little bit less. And then I think Cook is going to be that third down back in that red zone back for them until we see more. So I think that there's touchdown upside for Dalvin Cook this week, which I don't think there's another player outside of like Garrett Wilson, outside of Stephon Diggs, outside of Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers that I would say is like really going to be that next level of offensive player because I think it's going to be a low scoring game. So playing Dalvin Cook, hoping that Breece Hall has limited touches and then Dalvin Cook finds the end zone.
I really feel like the Jets backfield is going to be a headache this year. I really do. And which is a shame because they're both really good players. But I agree. I think that, like you said, it's the touchdown upside. It's the hope you're starting a guy on Monday because you need a touchdown, right? And I think he's the best option this week. How would you power rank Cook, Hall, and then his brother, James Cook?
Oh, because they're all playing in week one. I'd say Dalvin Cook. And then it's James Cook and Breece Hall. I'm just nervous. Breece Hall, just in general, Breece Hall. but I'm nervous about week 1 with Brees Hall.
For me, I think James Cook is probably the best of them all, actually.
Interesting.
He's your Monday night. He's going to be on the field more.
Okay.
Right? I'm not wrong. Like he's all the. I guess Damian Harris is there. Will be, as I'm talking it out, both backfields will be super interesting to kind of see what's the split, right? Are they 50-50 for the Jets? Is it 60-40 for the Bills, right? But yes, very interesting. But we're going to go with Dalvin Cook with the Monday Night Miracle. So there you have it, guys. It's week 1. Jordan, there's football tomorrow.
I'm so excited.
There's football tomorrow. What are your plans? You're just going to watch it at home?
Watch at home. Yep.
Yes. In the home league, I picked up a kicker for the kicker for the Lions, just so I could have someone to cheer for this week. And that's kind of part of the fun for fantasy, right? I needed a kicker, and I was like, well, I want to watch someone on Thursday. But yeah, guys, we're excited to be here for this. We want to thank everyone for being with us during the off season. We just finished our second off season, which is super exciting. But it's football time. We got 18 more weeks of this right here. And if you want to be a part of that, follow us on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Next Fantasy Football Podcast. Wherever you're listening to this right now, keep up that. That's awesome. Facebook, we're one person away from 400. So if you've been listening to us for weeks and you're like, I'm not going to get around to it, go there. It takes 3 seconds. Hit the follow button or whatever it's called.
We appreciate it. Be follower 400.
Yes, be follower 400.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have an Instagram at next_step_pod. So Jordan, happy football. Football is back. Everyone listening, football is back. We're so excited, and we can't wait to go down this journey with you guys. So, Jordan, unless you have anything else you want to say?
No, get those championships.
Get those chips. I want to see how many chips we get. Yeah. All right, guys. You take care. Be good.